It's amazing what is out there in a holistic world. We call it complementary, we call it alternative, we call all different names. But where it all started, everything in medicine is brand new. And if you look at the research, it goes back to who paid for the research and how the results are manipulated to give you the findings. These sciences, whether it's Ayurvedic medicine, TCVM, any other herbology things, they've been time tested, they've been around forever. So I want to talk about my favorite subject, Ayurveda, today. And it is so close to me. Regionally, I grew up in India. My mom, my grandma, my two brothers, my sister-in-law are still trained Ayurvedic professionals. They were Ayurvedic doctors from India, came to States, did a naturopathic degrees from the Bastyr University. They practiced Ayurveda. And I didn't want to be left alone, so I joined the club. Ayurveda probably is I can boast about it, I think I have a right, is probably the oldest system of medicine. It originated in India. Ayurveda literally means combination of two words. Ayur or Ayu means life. Veda means science. The Ayurveda encompasses the whole universe as a one unit. If you look at the universe as a bigger unit, each individual is a smaller unit and a universe in itself. I will explain that how this whole universe is represented in you, me, and a dog, a cat, a living being like a plant. Ayurveda is based on Ayurvedic principles and science of herbal energetics. It utilizes the quality and power of the herbals according to the law of the nature. Ayurveda is very scientific, but still does not go away from spirituality. When we talk about spirituality, it is not religion. It's not Christianity. It's not Muslim or Judaism. Spirituality is what you are, what your belief is, how you treat everybody around you. Ayurveda likes to respect the universe. It wants you to respect yourself, the food you eat. Like I said, it's the most ancient healing science. And people talk about how far back you can go. And I was looking at literature and I sat down the other day trying to find, is there any date to it? What they say, people who have studied ancient Indian literature, they put it back to dating about 6,000 BC. And if we put the number to that, it will be about 8,000 years ago. In my opinion, it's probably dated before then. I see when I read about Ayurveda, there's a lot of books which talk about how the Ayurveda was present and it was not present in India. Part of it has to do the invaders who came to India from all directions, looking for gold, looking for jewel, looking for spices, started to loot, kill, burn Indian literature. Started in about 6th, 7th century, and by 12th century, India was robbed of all the books. Ayurveda is a holistic science of balance and health. It deals with the prevention of disease. It deals with the promotion of health and longevity. Believe it or not, it helps to cure diseases. And it deals with the newer concept, what is brand new in our world, rejuvenation, anti-aging concept. Even 8,000 years ago, they have realized that we all get old, we need to rejuvenate. If I can move this slide. I found this slide here in a representation. For the longest time, they thought all the Vedas, there are 4 Vedas written in Sanskrit, the oldest being the Rig Veda, then is a Samveda, Yajurveda, and a Atharvaveda. I know these are foreign names, but these are well-written Sanskrit books. There are no manuscripts available for them to say, hey, they existed. There are some original in Germany, but then recently they found these things written on a palm leaves with the dye, water-soluble dye, and they preserved it. So I put the little information to see it is written in Sanskrit. In Indian schools, Ayurveda is taught. You have to be a pre-med student, and you have to spend at least 6 years in school. And it's a very rigorous course. It's all in Sanskrit. If you don't know Sanskrit, you cannot get away with it. And finally, you have to do internships. And there are big universities like Banaras Hindu University is another who have research courses, and they do grad and post-grad programs and researches and publications and research. Go back, visit the thought process, which was mentioned at one time or another in the books. So it says that the history of it is the Brahma, which was considered to be creator of the universe, imparted knowledge to one of his disciples named Daksh Prajapati. And he talked to two brothers named Ashni Kumars, who were then passed it down to Lord Indra. And he wanted it to be propagated. So Dhanvantari, which is still a common name for Indian herbal doctor, called he's Dhanvantari, gave it to Lord Dhanvantari, who helped propagate things around. And in that time frame came two different school processes. One was, I call internal medicine, which will be your Charka Samhita, and then came the surgeons, Sushruta. The top portion here, the photo here, what you see, is the statue of Sushruta in Australia. It's written in the modern surgical books, Sushruta was the father of surgery. It is mentioned that at his time, he has learned how to do organ transplants, plastic surgeries, surgeries as minute as the thickness of hair. And now we still talk about organ transplants and anti-rejection medications and plastic surgeries. I don't know if that technique's available, will that be ever available, because most of the books and the techniques are not there anymore. It is tradition in Indian culture, it was tradition at the time, that you have to go and learn from the best sage, which is teacher. And you could spend all your life, and the sage could hold the secret with him until you are really favorite, or he could die with the secret. He will never share it with you. Obviously, it might have been lost down the track. But I know there are certain techniques which is still mentioned, called Char Sutra. It's an alkaline thread soaked in plant saps and juices. We're not talking human, but I have to mention it. Help to treat anorectal fistulas. People doing large animals, horses. How common is that? It's not unheard of. I did limited time when I did the large animals, horses, for a year or two. I did 3-4 years of cows. It was very common in horses when we do it during breeding season, during palpation. Those Char Sutras, Sutra means thread, Char means alkaline thread. They were specially medicated. You insert in there, leave it there, it helps to heal. Or human hemorrhoids, you have another thing, you can tie it up and it will take care of those things. On the other hand, Charka Samhita, Charka, I can again boast about it. He was in the region I grew up. There's a small town of Shamcharasi in the state of Punjab. He was born. It's the foothills of Himalayas. Abundance of herbs. There was no pollution. He has resources on it. Charka Samhita is written about 5 different texts about that thickness. In my moment of endeavor and wanting to know what the Charka Samhita says, I will open up a page, read about it. My Sanskrit was limited, but a Hindi translation was good enough. And you could see what they call dincharya, what your daily routine should be. How should you start your morning? Natikcharya, how your day should go. How should you wind up at the end of the day? What kind of partner you should get married to? What is your dentifrice? How will you clean your teeth? What is your ear stuff? Shoes, journey from home, breathing patterns, yoga. That's not limited at all. They have used heavy metals. I know things come out. The herbs coming from India, China have heavy metals. Obviously, there's pollution there. But when they treat heavy metals, there's a whole section which we don't talk about in the United States because of the fear of heavy metals, called bhasmas, which oxidize powders of heavy metals. These products are purified with different plant saps, citric acids, juices, sometimes up to 200 times by the time it is the most bioavailable heavy metal and not harmful at all, has no cumulative effect. Interesting story, there is a product made of arsenic. They treat it for people with the chronic myeloid leukemia. And I read a journal, an article in Lancet Journal, which is out of UK, that it helped, it cured. But arsenic turned the complexion of people, white skin, into dark skin. Obviously, it's arsenic which does it. A few years later, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when pharmaceutical got hold of it, it became a pharmaceutical product. So now it is not so Ayurvedic, it's not so toxic, but it is used. I know a lot of times I can keep saying, I don't have that much time, I want to share all the stories with you, but Ayurveda is very elaborate. Like I said, it takes 6 years to learn it. It has all 8 branches of general medicine, surgery, ENT. I want to talk about psychotherapy, mental disorders, including seizures. Ayurveda is mostly focused around your mental well-being, state of consciousness, how mentally balanced you are, how at ease you are with your emotions, your daily routine. If you're not mentally balanced, if you're not at peace with yourself, there's no healing which could happen. If you are moving around and running around, never settle down, you will never get time to settle down and heal. Toxicology, here comes my point. They have done an abundant research, extensive research about toxicology. What is toxic to you? And they've taken account for it. Pediatrics, that's different than what we do in adult medicine, we all know. Rejuvenation and anti-aging geriatrics, that's a huge. We are trying to learn right now, can we reverse aging? Can we stay young? They have already learned and understood that. Sexuality, theory, and aphrodisiacs. I think Viagra was the first time when somebody has thought about sexuality and other things here, but we don't have to go that far out there, but it's a huge component of living being, reproduction. And there's a whole section totally dedicated to that part. Like I said, it's evolved as a human medicine with an emphasis on living in harmony with the laws of nature. Now we're dealing with the climate changes, warming weathers, we talk to each person, but Ayurveda never wanted to hurt Mother Nature. They wanted to enjoy it. And they worked very well to preserve Mother Nature. Its principles and philosophy basically could be extended to, like I said, every living being, animals and plants. I know we are veterinarians, we should talk about veterinary medicine, not human medicine. A lot of these books, Ayurveda, which is the scriptures, about 269 things here, has talked about animal welfare, animal management, and animal husbandry, treatment therapies and surgeries at the time. King Ashoka is quite a bit in the whole line of Ayurveda thing, but King Ashoka was disciple of Lord Buddha. When Buddhism became very popular in India, Ashoka became a disciple after going through a very rough wars and killings, and he changed his mind and became Buddhist. He wanted to spread Buddhism. He's the first one who made roads in India, made wells around the roads, shelters, the trees, the plantation, so people would come and move on them with the rest. He was also the one who founded Animal Hospital, and it was recorded as 1463 BC. That will be about close to 3,500 years ago. Mention of Saliyatra or Salihotra was the first known veterinary healer. In northern India, a veterinarian is still called Salotri. If you go in the villages, instead of calling your veterinary doctor who's doing the farm calls, they say, did you call Salotri today? So he can come and look at you. So it's given a very respectful name. Any veterinarian is Salotri. Salihotra also wrote the two books called Mrig and Hasti treatment books. Mrig means animal, Hasti was elephants at the time.